do any of the work, in fact. It was just there. You shouldn't eat of the fruit. It's those that are doing the work that do that. And then listen to these words, verse 8. Say I these things as a man, or saith not the law the same also? He's making a comparison to the Old Testament now. He says, for it is written in the law of Moses, thou shalt not muzzle the mouth of the ox that treadeth out the corn. Does God take care for oxen? Or saith he it altogether for our sakes? For our sakes, no doubt, this is written, that he that ploweth should plow in hope, and that he that thresheth in hope should be partakers of his hope. If we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we shall reap your carnal things? If others be partakers of this power over you, are not we rather? Paul's whole point is that we pay for everything. There are services rendered that we don't mind giving a service to, and a tip, mind you, at times. But Paul says, if I'm sowing unto you spiritual things which are far higher than anything else you could get, wouldn't it then make more sense that I would reap of your carnal? Your carnal things would be those worldly things that you acquire from the money that you spend. Paul is arguing, and if you could imagine, Paul has to argue with the Corinthian church about supporting him in the ministry. They think they shouldn't. They think they should be exempt from the work that he's done. He says it was always this way. Do not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn. That's the function. But understand the function. That ox better be treading corn. That better be happening. And once we know as people of God that that ox is treading out the corn, then we need to support that ox. You guys aren't looking at me like I'm an ox, are you? I thought about that and just saw myself. Oh, never mind. But anyhow, Paul's principle is simple. That this was ordained by God from the very beginning. If you look at it as he says, those that ate of the altar, lived of the altar, those of the temple the same. He said, but also, what about those that preach the gospel? Luke, drop down to verse 13. It says, do ye not know that they which minister about holy things live of the things of the temple? And they which wait at the altar are partakers with the altar. Even so hath the Lord ordained that they which preach the gospel should live of the gospel. Then we have to bring into question, if we understand the passage, how important is the work of the Lord? And how important is that in our lives? And have we sown the same seed that the Macedonians did in 2 Corinthians 8? Or even through a great affliction, they were willing to give of their time to the work of the Lord and their means. And we're to follow their example. We're to follow their example. That is the form and function in God's economy. And then finally, we had talked and talked and talked about our fellowship here and building our fellowship. And one of those ways to build our fellowship, this is probably the worst part of this sermon because I have to draw. But building this fellowship comes with our concept of our potlucks. Everybody see this? Like there's nothing shining on us? Okay. When we talk about building a relationship and a fellowship, is that my phone ringing? Can you believe that everybody that knows me knows I'm doing something? Wow, this is Mike Kramer. Does he not know I'm in church? You guys remember Mike Kramer was here a couple weeks ago? Him and his wife Linda, the librarian? Yeah. Why is he calling me? Go figure. All right. My goodness. But we talk about fellowship and building a fellowship. And one of the ways that we would use that fellowship would be in our potlucks. And the idea of the concept of our potlucks were not obviously just to eat. That's the form of them. Eating at the potluck, sitting down, setting up the tables, bringing food and all that stuff is the end result of the fellowship that we built because of it. Let me say that again. The eating part, the setting up the tables, and what we do here is the end result of what we have built in fellowship. That's not where the fellowship building happened. That's the fruits of it. The building of the fellowship, the function of the fellowship, comes before that. Let me show you what I mean. Ever since I've been here 5 years, we've always had some kind of problem with eating. I have no idea why. Not so much eating in the building, but eating in the sense of who's going to help, who's going to do what, organizing that eating. You would think that we would be able to organize stuff like that. There's tons of organizers here. But the problem has always been that the workload is not shared. The workload isn't shared. That means that there are people that would be here. If we get specific, there are women that would be here that either would not participate in the potlucks or would not bring anything for the potlucks. I encourage you to study the tabernacle in the Old Testament. Read Exodus chapter 25 through chapters 30. That means chapter 25, 26, 27, 28, and 30 of Exodus. It talks about the building of the temple. And you'll see in there how everybody in Israel, now there were rich people in Israel, there were poor people in Israel, and everything in between. But you'll see in the building of the temple that everybody brought something. Every single person brought something. And God used everything they brought. God used everything. The poor folks, they took like goat hair. And the goat hair and the camel hair was used to actually make the drapes. You go figure. But that's all they had to give. Now, there were some that gave gold. There are gold parts in there. Well, those that had to give it, they gave it. There were some that couldn't give gold. But everybody gave something. Why? Because they had a fellowship. They had a fellowship, and everybody participated. Now, for some reason, when we had that problem, and that's pretty much a simple problem. That's not any big, major, we're going to not go to heaven over it. But the point is, when we build a fellowship, watch what happens. Remember when I said that everything that we do is an opportunity to teach? Well, when we build our fellowship, that's our opportunity to teach. That means that sometimes we can, by no fault of our own, end up establishing cliques. And you know what a clique looks like. These are people in the clique. And what happens in the church when you have people in a clique here is that you end up with people out here. Some of these people outside of the clique wanted to be out there. Why did they want to be out there? Because they have not so learned Christ. Christ would not have them out there, and if they claim to be a child of God, they don't belong out there. Well, it takes somebody to build a relationship with them and teach them that. They can't say, oh, I'm just not going to participate and walk out the door. That's not how our fellowship works. And sometimes it takes someone to go to that person and teach them. Teach them that on the outside is not where God would have them, but He would want them in here. And that they should really reconsider, really think about what they are saying spiritually when they decide to be out here. They need to be taught. And our fellowship and our potluck is an opportunity to teach them. Now, there are some people out here because they don't know how to get in here. They're shy, they're new, they don't know how to get in. So what would happen in each case, so now you already saw me say it might take, well now this person, it might take a bunch of people to go, see, this person's hard-headed. But this person here is just shy. All it would take is somebody to go out, notice this, somebody to go out of their way to get over there to them and teach that person. That's all it takes. Somebody go out of their way. That means that, you know, before they come to the potluck, maybe you got to take them to lunch a couple times. Maybe they got to get to know you first. Maybe they want to see the type of people that we are. They come because maybe they like it. I mean, you guys got a handsome minister. Maybe they come because of that. I don't know. But the whole point is, when they come, they're here for a reason. Where is the connection to God's people? We make the connection. He says they're earthen vessels that we make this connection with. So we may have to get to that person. So now there are two dynamics. I have another. This person, of course, is just being hard-headed. This person here is shy. This person, somebody hurt their feelings. They've been hurt. And they have an issue because they've been hurt. And whatever hurt their feelings, they might not even be able to tell you anymore, but their feelings are just hurt. So no matter what happens, they're just going to be on the outside. You can already see the pattern of what needs to happen. And somebody else needs to go to this person and see why they're hurt and become a peacemaker. That's what that person needs peace. That means that they're actually showing up here and they're worshiping God, they're taking the Lord's Supper, and they're mad at people. They're not taking the Lord's Supper. You know that God died so that we be unified, not that we be separate. And you can't sit here and take of that cracker and that juice outside of the people you're doing it with. We've said this 1,000,000 times. There's a fellowship of love that starts this way and goes this way. And so we fellowship and love one another. And you can't come in here and just do 5 things and leave. You have to be a part of the fellowship. So whatever is stopping this person, that obstacle needs to be removed. Who's going to remove that obstacle? The ye who are spiritual. It has to come from inside. And they got